There we go. We're on.
Yes, live.
Paul Dillon, pMad. Well, first of all, thank you for agreeing to meet with me.
Oh, the thanks is all to you now. Hey, look at I'll talk to anyone at any time, anywhere, any place. Promotion is promotion. We'll talk. Talk is cheap. And someone said to me, free information is worthless. So.
I've been lucky enough to speak with a lot of interesting songwriters, singers, songwriters, etc., educators. Like it's really basically comes down to when I hear someone, when I meet somebody, and I think that's interesting. I'll ask him if they say yes, we're chatting. So,
brilliant. And I'm so flattered that I could be counted as interesting.
Absolutely, yeah. So first of all, we have to start with the name pMad, because I thought, okay, maybe this has some like hidden meaning sort of thing, and then I found out it's your initials.
That's it. Simple enough as that. Yeah, it's as boring as that. In the $60,000 question, when and it comes up in 20 years' time, what is pMad? Who wants to be a millionaire? It'll be so boring. But now, granted, I do lose a lot of followers, and this other crowd gets a lot of followers, well, not many. The Pakistan Military Accounts Department. So that's pMad as well on Facebook and all the other things. And
It's
the
also
Pakistan
like
Military Accounts Department. So
there's also something like a
there's
prenatal something.
oh yeah, oh well, that's yeah. When you Google it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm beating that in Google now. I'm beating it in Google because that's which is good.
So what is
But
what is
there's a lot of
stand for?
Pakistani soldiers wondering what the hell is going on here.
I didn't know we had a band. What does the MA stand for?
In me?
Well, yeah, well, Paul and
Sorry,
Dillon.
Paul
We got that
Martin
part.
Anthony Dillon.
Paul,
Yes,
sorry?
Paul Martin Anthony Dillon.
Oh,
So,
okay.
as a good Catholic child and the rest of it, we took all the names we could, and they'd give you more if you were Brazilian or something as well, So.
I was hoping it was going to be Mark Antony, but
Oh, yeah, well, yes. Well, Paul fell off his horse on the road to Damascus, and all these other Anthony. Yeah.
So it's funny. I have to say the pMad with the like it looks like a Pepsi logo.
Yes.
Of course, it's not. It's just a couple of circles. We're not looking for getting sued here. But I used to be in a band called the Bill Killers, which is BK, which is Burger King. So our logo for the band was the Burger King logo, but it said the Bill Killers instead of Burger King.
Very cool. Yeah. And I'm still going down through it to see imitation is the best form of flattery. So it was actually I nicked it off the Jesus and Mary chain had a version of that one as well.
Oh, okay. So a couple of things. First of all, I was so curious because I've heard of Galway before. I didn't realize how close you are to Tipperary, for one thing.
It's not a long way to Tipperary.
For you, yeah.
1 mile, not even a mile. Yeah. And
how do I say? Is it Portumna or Portumna?
Portumna.
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 Portumna. I did see it written some places where it was written as two separate words, sometimes together.
That's the Irish version. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So it actually means Port of the Oaks. So we live right in the lake, and there was the castle and the oaks and things like that. And when the Vikings used to come, you could leg it. And then, strangely enough, from the other side of the county, we're on southeast Galway, to the tip of County Galway, I would be on the other side of the country quicker. It'll take 2 hours to get to Dublin, Collins Street in Dublin, but about 3 hours to get to Clifton. So on the other side of the country.
Wow.
We're on the three provinces here, actually, in Portumna. Connacht, Leinster and Munster.
That's funny. I spent some time in Maynooth.
Maynooth, yeah, fantastic town, yeah. The Roost and all the rest of it, yeah. I know the pubs in nearly every town in Ireland, but not much else. Not the university.
Stroll the streets with the swagger of a serial killer. Long black coat and a latitude. What do you see? What do you see? Leaving me. Wishing to rise.
bunch of questions about your music, especially your most recent releases. But I just found out that you're a radio DJ on the Best of Irish Indie as well.
And the best of world indie. I do two shows. Yeah, 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 yeah.
But I put you in your place, so have a little grace, so you're gonna get a taste of my heart race. She hit me in the face, heart race. I'm all over the place. She hit me in the face.
Yeah, yeah. So the best of Irish indie is on live, and then it goes around. Today it's on two stations in America today, and then in America again on Monday, England on
Cool.
Tuesday. Yeah, yeah. So and then the best of world indie is on Wild Dogs Radio every Tuesday. So that's an hour of from anywhere.
All from pMad and the best of Irish Indie. And thank you so much for joining us here in the fields with the cows. And on this week's Best of Irish Indie, we will have Whipping Boy, 50-Foot Woman, Cairo Station, Small Church, Big Boy Foolish, Grey Wind, Deluche, A House, Freddie Black, Vegan Steven, An Emotional Fish, Cyrus Blu-ray, Keeley, Fatima Mansions, The Sussed, Handsome Abominations, Mossy, Talking Knives, The Big Geraniums, and of course a tune from pMad. So get tuned into LCRFM every Saturday from 5:30 p.m. Irish time. Yes, indeed, for the best of Irish Indie.
Body on the surface has a silver sea. Get it right, my mother bride. That's making all the noise so
Brilliant. Yeah, it's there to download lcrfm.ie, and the shows are there.
Let's Loch Ray Community Radio, is that right?
Loch Ray, yeah. The Grey Lake.
102.9. Okay. So let's talk pMad music. I know you've been playing music for the better part of your life. And then was that always a constant thing, or did it have a point where it dropped off? I know that pMad started in just a few years ago, 2021.
Yeah.
How does that?
Yeah, a life of, as 15-year-olds, 14, 15-year-olds, six of us in a room beating the heads of each other for the lad being late, and there's always one. And then, sure, we couldn't, trying to cover The Cure, A Forest, and thinking we're brilliant with Simple Minds. Oh, yeah, we're knocking it out, sure. But then, back in the day, I'd press the record and play at the same time. You'd record the session, and I'd have tapes, and then as you go into on longer, it was CDs and MP3s and all the other bits and pieces. You'd always, and even when I went to go upstairs or downstairs or wherever I was playing, we had a battle of the bands in college, and we did Pixies and a few different things, and Tom Petty and anything. We could attempt to play half reasonable, and but I'd record it, and then even you'd go upstairs and just jamming or messing and things like that, and then then life gets in the way. Life just sucks it out of you, and you have to make a living and all these different things. And then COVID comes along and it tells you, stop.
Yeah.
And don't tell anyone, but I actually quite enjoyed it. It was good.
It's
stop.
an interesting thing, the COVID thing. So many people, I mean, a lot of people went through terrible, terrible, difficult times.
Yeah.
But then looking back on it, for some of us, we're saying, it was also a really, like, in some ways, for some of us, it could be peaceful, like you don't have to get up and run to somewhere all the time. You can just sort of like slow down a little bit. I think for a lot of people, it was a time to reframe what they were doing,
It was exactly that era, yeah. And our 5 kilometers here is just fabulous. If you were in an apartment block in a city, could be a kilometer down and a kilometer up. It broke a lot of artists and the earnings and the rest of the time. Quite fortunate that way, but look, all you can do is deal the hand you're dealt with, and that was my hand, and I tried to, and then so it was the wife decides, let's clear this out, and then say, oh, you're not touching that box, no, and then you go in and put in, and I said, oh, no, that's not bad. And then technology, I wouldn't have ever been into the Logic Pro and all the other bits and pieces. I wouldn't have been that well versed in it, but hey, download a free version of it, of Reaper and things, and I'm quite good at cutting and pasting, and put it together and jigsaw this, that, and the other, and said, then now let's go record that again.
Well, that's kind of where part of my question comes from, because I was wondering that, like, seeing that pMad started, 2021, I thought, okay, so was this something you've been doing different projects musically all the way through, and this was just a new project that you started, or did it stop for a while? Because the way that you're using technology really was one of the things I wanted to talk about, like how, you know,
Yeah, it's down to thanks to technology. No, never really. It all stopped, and then COVID, and then wouldn't have dreamt of being anything. But then, lucky enough, a neighbour of mine, Liam, and he's down in Shannon, but he's in a great band, BigGenerator, and I just sent him on some tunes, and I said, there was a mixture of mad pMad stuff, and then there was good or better tunes than that. Then again, of course, and then he just said, "What do you think of those?" And he said, "Oh, Jesus, yeah, not so bad. I'd be into those few, but he'd give you the push to say, it can be done. It can be done.
yeah.
So why not try it?"
Because I'm open-minded, don't take my liberty. Now the victim still fits the crime. What do you want it? What do you want it? What do you want it from me? With nothing at all. With nothing at all. With nothing at
Well, pMad was the experiment. Was right. I'm gonna make all the mistakes with pMad. We're gonna do the promotion. We're gonna make the tunes and do the bits and pieces. But the greeting is our band. Liam and myself are the greeting. That's our other band. It's a bit more grungy, and we have a song out, and we're going to release one now in a month or two again. Need was the debut single, and it went down really well because he's talented, and they have a bigger reach than pMad will ever be.
Diverse. Every feeling you bring me to the point of my life could be so much, so much, so much more. It's all about you. It's no surprise to me. You'll never make me happy. I don't think I need you. I don't think I need you, no.
That broke off. pMad was to say, right, learn how to do these things and fail, and then the greeting. We won't do the same things with the greeting. But pMad sort of grew a bit of legs, and strange, well, look at like I make pMad music for me, and if surely to God, if I like it, there might be two or three people in different corners of the world that might like it as well, and that was the logic of it.
It's an interesting thing to me. I mean, I've written quite a few songs myself, and people have commented to me how, because I listen to other people's music and I think it's super interesting, and I think, how did you think of doing that thing? How did you decide to bring in this sound or that chord? And people say, well, yeah, but you do that stuff too, just
Yeah,
But I
different
guess
ways.
for all of us, it's like it started off in my head, so that's just the way I heard it. It doesn't sound interesting to me because that's the only way I could sort of hear it, you know?
No, there's no other way. And I have up and it was the first mantra was my bringing what's in my head out into the world. That's
Yeah.
what it is. And hey, you hear what you hear, but the amount of artists in here, and you'd be talking to them and meet lots of them for the radio and stuff like that, and I just don't like what they do a lot of the time. Oh no, I don't like. I changed that, and I did. Nothing is ever perfect. The Beatles were remastered. For God's sake, what
Yeah.
happens?
Yeah.
If people
And the
disagree with the
remaster was
Beatles,
criticized.
yeah. So no, who am I to disagree with anyway? So
Yeah, I think that's part of the thing. One of my sisters, I have three sisters, and one of them is a writer. And I remember her saying she was contemplating how to release her work because she said it's never really done. Like there's never any point where she thinks, okay, I'm done. Like there's that Queen movie. There's part where Freddie Mercury writes Bohemian Rhapsody, and at the end he just sits there and a little tear comes to his eye, and it's how we want to think it would feel when you write
Yeah.
that amazing.
Yeah.
But it's not like that. I'm sure it wasn't for him. I'm sure when he was done, he was like, "Oh, well, I could probably work on a couple more harmonies here, but at some point we got to put this thing out." So
Yeah, but then there's the promo and the build up, and then and it's all right for Queen when you're Queen.
well,
What
and
did you
also when it's
mean?
the
Yeah.
1970s, because I mean, I'm looking at what you've done with your music. Not only have you written, recorded, produced, everything else, a song, then you go and you're the marketing guy, and you're the guy who makes the video, and you're the guy who then goes and does remixed versions of the same songs. It's like it's
Yeah,
never
but
done because we do everything.
I don't know. No, look, I've helped in bits and pieces, Dominic now in Portumna Studios and things like that. But no, it's no more than, it's like the pile of dirt in the corner. If you don't shift it yourself, it's going to be still there tomorrow. You know what are you going to do? Is just get bigger. So
Yeah.
that's part of it. Making the music sometimes feels the easiest part of it. That it's getting it out, and it depends. Look, I'm sort of, I have no ego whatsoever. People have written back to me and said, "I don't like that." And I said, "Good, thanks very much for telling me." Look, I don't mind. It's not for everyone. There's no problem, but I'll put it out there, and if it works, it works, and if people like it, they like it, and if they don't, they don't, and it doesn't work. That's fine. But look at, you do your best is all anyone is doing, like, and nothing is for everyone. And even at that, you'd be driving along, and I make the pMad. Music is so arbitrary when you're driving in the car, and that your most favorite song in the whole world come on, and you say, "Oh, no, not today," and you skip onto it,
Yeah.
and it's just not the mood you're in, and that's what music is about, and you move around, and that's why anyone asks you Desert Island Records, what would you spend your life with? Just give me the foot. With now, back in the day, it was all right. You could only bring 10 records or whatever it is. Now, hey, give me a 10 gigabytes, terabytes of music. That'll keep me going for the first year.
I mean, yeah, it's absolutely that. And it's funny that you say that, in terms of from a listener's perspective, I know I have very eclectic tastes, or at least I've been told that. I think you do too, based on, your list of influences, and then even your list of recordings. I think some of it I'm like, this is the same person? What?
Yeah.
And some people are not like that. Some people like to listen to the same things again and again. There's the familiarity of a song is definitely a strong draw, but for me, that wears thin after a while. Your first album was Who, Why, Where, What?
Exactly.
pMad.
Okay. Who Am I was the debut. It was the opening track, and then it was sort of different. There was no. You might get a lot, and some of the other songs might be a little bit more. I don't know. You could sort of catapult or put them into an area, but Who Am I was sort of different, and people go, oh, this is something. You might, if you're going to be, and the video then was tough as well. Then, and if you're going to try and make, you only get one chance to make a first impression. Like, you might as well be different. So that's it. That was.
One of the things that I got out of that was you love sort of edgy sounds. Like the bass starts off with that. It's distorted, and then the drums come in and they're big, But you also seem to really love dynamics, because you do a lot of like build, and then it falls off,
It's all about keeping you interested, and there's too much formulas, like verse, chorus, middle eight, build up, finish. A lot of the time now, I don't have too many middle eights. I could have 4 middle eights anywhere, and it could be there's actually not too many choruses in a lot of the stuff. because when I try to go back, because some of the songs started off at 4 minutes and 5 minutes, you're trying to make a radio edit, and we were talking about it, and I said, where would you cut it? Because it just, oh, jeez, you're going to lose some of the dynamic of it, you know? So,
Yeah.
okay,
Well,
I'm not reinventing the wheel or anything. It's just music, and it keeps me interested, and I like it, and, you know,
it's part of the thing. You say not reinventing the wheel, but the thing about music is there are a couple of things actually. First of all, we're limited, at least in modern Western music, we only have a certain number of notes and a certain number of chords. It's finite. I was chatting with a young group of guys in Liverpool called Centerfold is the name of the band. We were talking about their songwriting process, and I said, I always listen and I hear influences within things.
yes,
And
yes,
I know that I can't think of anybody that I've ever talked to that they said, yeah, I was really trying to sound like such and such there. It comes out because that's what we know. And I thought that it was the guitarist from the group who said, we only have I thought he was going to say we only have a certain number of notes and chords, and that's why sometimes it sounds similar. He said we only have a certain finite number of human experiences to draw our emotions from. And that's why, like, there's love and there's hate, and of course, there's who you loved and who you hated and at what time in your life and blah, blah, blah. But the themes themselves are going to be similar. And I thought that was a really interesting take on it for him to see it not from the perspective of the sort of the logistics and the technique
yeah.
of music, but from the human experience that we're explaining.
It feels like I have no eyes, I can't determine what is wrong or right. Gotta find a way out. Oh dear, don't you worry. She lies to them, she lies to everyone. You said love is trust, while the devil lies. Was that another lie in a messed up way?
Well, of course, yeah. Well, like your experiences are different to mine. We'll have certain similar ones and the rest of it, but generally our days are completely different and our lives are completely different. Though we live the same lives, but we do them differently and we looked at it differently. Skill is another ability to create music is another part of it as well, which would limit me. But anyway, that's. But yeah, from what influences you to what you want to portray, to what you want the song to mean, and then a lot of the time it's overemphasized that, oh, that's brilliant lyrics and the rest of it. But sometimes you get into a song and you have, oh, these perfect lyrics. This is the story I want to tell. And then suddenly you say, oh, geez, that won't fit that. Them lyrics won't fit that area. We're going to have to change the lyrics. And then it becomes what it becomes. It's a moving beast all the time, until it's finished.
And again, until you just agree to say, okay, it is finished, quote unquote, because it's never really finished. Like, if I could take a song that I wrote in the 1990s and rework it, I definitely would. But then the reworked version, I'm sure at some point I'd want to add something, take away something, change something, So
Yeah.
how did this come about for you? It's 2022, you put out your first album. And then when did I
Oh,
Empower actually come out?
well, really, it came out. It came out to everyone in 2024.
Right.
It came out a year earlier if you bought it on Bandcamp, and a few got it, and then
Right.
it was actually okay now on CD. Actually, I was surprised when I bought it.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, a lot of people are not doing any hard copy releases anymore at all. I mean, the cost of doing a CD as opposed to just putting it on Bandcamp
Yeah,
or some of these streaming platforms.
they make good coasters as well if you're not too interested. So,
That's an expensive
but yeah,
coaster,
but
but
I met someone and I said, "Geez, I'm after going really well here, and I'm after meeting this wealthy person, well, they were well-to-do person who would have lots of contacts and the rest of it." And they pulled up in their 24 Merc and the bits and pieces, and they started talking. "Geez, you're going well to music." I said, "Oh yeah, you're going all right." Yeah. I said, "Give me a second." I ran over to the car and I got two CDs out and I signed them for him and I handed them. And he looked at me and said, "Where the Jesus going to play them?" No CDs in cars anymore. That's true.
that is a factor. Like last Christmas, I think it was last Christmas, my daughter really started to get into to LPs, vinyl. And so she went out and she bought she's into K-pop. So it's not like she's going retro.
Good.
She likes the
Yeah.
newest
That's
stuff.
okay.
And so she went out and got an album. I said, "So what are you gonna do now?" We don't have a record player, you know. So we went out and got her a record player for Christmas last year, so she could
Super.
listen to that, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that is a factor. Like it's hard to find a CD player around. You know, I don't have a CD player at home. You know, I have one here, but it's just because it was purchased
Yeah,
10
yeah,
years ago
yeah.
and it's still here.
But
But
they're not
I
in
mean,
laptops anymore. They're not in any of these things. Yeah, so
yeah,
it's just the way of the world and things like that. But hey, you go with it. Not, yeah.
what goes around comes around. It's come back. I mean, Metallica last year bought a vinyl record pressing plant.
There you go. Yeah.
So, you know, there's some people
And
are
and the backlog has lessened a bit now since all the COVID big stars tried to take over all the vinyl plants and the rest of it. So it's leveled out a bit now.
yeah. I
Just
think
trying to
it's
make money.
interesting to see how that goes. So where I was going with this, Iron Power was actually 2023, but then just this month, September 6th, you released Look at Me Now,
Yeah.
which I'm thinking, how so many questions. How did you even think of doing that? So for those people who might not know, Look at Me Now is a remixed version of the entire Iron Power album. It's all the songs with remixed versions. When I say that, I don't mean like remastered. I mean you've taken them a completely different direction. How did that
Yeah.
idea come to you?
Well, I'm a huge New Order fan. I have all their vinyl nearly, and their Substance cassettes and all the rest. I have it nearly framed now because if I touch it anymore, it'll just break. It's gone into tatters. But the one thing I loved about New Order is you would buy a single off them, and then they would fill the 12-inch with three more versions of the same song, and it would be dubbed, and it would be this, that, and the other, and the rest of it. It was just what can you do with the same song? What can I put it around to? I did a few Who Am I and Youth have been remixed on Who, Why, Where, What as well. So I am. And just to test, look at, and then you find I put a few quotes on, and which are totally made up, of course, on my press that went out. Jesus, that's an awful lot better than the usual rubbish you do, you know. And you might get a few new listeners out of, you know, it's like, geez, maybe, you know. So it's just a different angle, maybe, to bring people in and say, and actually, Down and Fire went down really well. There's an 8-minute version of Fire, Down, and Fury on it, and it's a mix of the two, the original and the remix, and things like that. It's just how far can you push things? And
Drop song
like I was never found.
My truth is from my perspective. Your truth is from your life too short. You won't bring me down. My life is true to me.
it's sort of passes the time because I'm recording album 3, which will be probably 3 EPs at the minute, and because albums are gone, if it's all about singles, really. You know, if you're going to be promoting, you put out 3 singles and then you put out the 4th one and the 3 singles again as an EP. So it started getting me a break because we're going to release Greeting shortly again, over. And then in January, I'll release the first single of the next pMad things. So they're sort of stepping stones, and yeah, it gets you into different areas that you'd never thought of getting, you know, into.
I mean, for me, I just thought, so it was just that, it was just, well, let's see. I mean, let's see what we can do.
Dance around, like, you know, dance. Some of it is, oh, Jesus, what's that? And then, you know, for other people will say, people that would be used to pMad, everybody will say, what the Jesus is that? But people that are used to pMad say, no, I don't like it, that's fine. And other people will say, geez, a bit more bump to it in parts and things like that, you know. So it is what it is, really. It's more just... Yeah.
I thought it was super interesting. I remember, so as I was listening to your songs, I always do this. As I'm listening to songs, I'll jot down just my first impressions kind of thing.
Good.
Edgy was one of the words that I wrote down. Confession was one of the ones where I listened to it and I was like, there's sort of an edgy sound to it with the distortion and stuff like that. Even when you bring in strings and a choir, it's not like it's a
chanting
string
and
line. You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, it's still got a sort of it's got a bit of a darkness to it, you know. And then I listened to the remix version and I was like, it still does a great job to build tension. You know, there's definitely tension building there, but it's really done differently. And then I thought it was, I don't know if this was done on purpose, but you bring back the choir. Which,
the choir is the most important bit nearly of it, yeah. They're a lot more talented than I am.
Arrive in the fall, it will be with bow and arrows.
I'm like, oh, this is a completely different take on this song. It's like almost a completely different song, really. And then it brings back the choir, and I thought, no, that's genius right there. That's
well,
awesome.
The choir makes it now. In all fairness, I'm every time you're looking at a song, it's as you say, up and down. But you need that building, and I like to build either to finish out or then build to drop and then just ease out again. Then, you know, so. Yeah. Dynamics.
I'm a music teacher, so this is my classroom. I'm sitting in here. And one of the things that I talk to my students a lot about is tension and release. Basically, like deciding how long the tension is and, you know, assuming that there's going to be a release, but there doesn't have to be. You could just have tension and the song's over.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that either, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the Ramones seem to make a pretty good career out of it, so... there's not really a halftime breakdown in any Ramones song.
No, it's just bang. Well, the opposite, if you can't make a song within 2 minutes, well, yeah.
So then, you know, talking about your influences, so you mentioned New Order. I'm looking at The Cure, Depeche Mode, The Sisters of Mercy. Tom Waits is in there.
Tom Waits, my probably all-time legendary. Yeah. And Tom Waits is because I love Closing Time from the start. But Bad As Me and Bone Machine, he just gets better. There's no other artist in the world for me that gets better and better. You know, U2 started out brilliant, and then all these other bands, and they just keep it going nearly for the sake of it. Sometimes they might come out with an odd song, but a cracking out. Tom Waits just gets better and better. I think Bone Machine and Bad As Me are just absolutely brilliant.
I'm realizing, so I think that jumped out of the quotes that I read of your influence and stuff, because I haven't listened to a lot of Tom Waits, honestly. And I know like his more famous songs, ones that other people have done. But a friend of mine, another podcaster, Phil Yale, introduced me to this song, I Hope I Don't Fall in Love With You, by Tom Waits.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that I don't fall in love with you. Falling in love just makes me blue. Well, the music plays and you display your heart for me to see. I had a beer and now I hear you calling out for me. And I hope that I don't fall in love.
Yeah, that's right. Closing time, yeah. Brilliant. Oh yeah. And Martha and Rosie and the piano's been drinking and Ice Cream
Yeah.
Man and oh Ginny, yeah.
I didn't even know this stuff, and I heard "Hope I Don't Fall in Love with You," and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
She'll make you melt. Yeah, you
well,
melt
that's
like
it. That's it. And the way he tells the story so gradually,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's growing. I don't know. It was just really masterful
And it
storytelling.
just finishes then with I just fell in love with you, you know.
Yeah.
But no, for me, it goes on. He goes a bit madder. That's all beautiful stuff. But hell broke loose. Luce.
Okay.
I had a good home, but I left. I had a good home, but I left.
I don't want to grow up, and Jesus is going to be here soon, and chocolate, Filipino box spring hog, and bone machine, and on to bad as me. God, it's more my. But I love closing time. You can't go wrong. And Asylum Years, and look at Tom Waits. Just any tune, anytime.
A Humvee mechanic with his Kevlar on wrong. I guarantee you'll meet up at the suicide bomb.
How conscious is it when you go into a song like Sword, and it basically sounds like a heavy metal song? It's like, take
Yeah.
that as you will, but I mean, I hear sort of just influences and overall sounds, but I thought, like, I had just listened to, I think it was Confession, and then
Yeah. No, yeah.
and then
Opinion
Sword-
is just before it on the way out of Iron Power, and then bang. You know?
Tearing the walls, lifeless and falls. Shame, shame, no more pain. Living and dying by the sword. Living and dying by the sword. With the death of the ink. With the death of the ink.
how conscious is that for you? Do you purposely say, okay, let's see what we can do now? Or do you just
But straight,
wait in your head?
yeah. You know what? Now it's funny because where would you put this album in order? I made all these songs, and you made all these songs, and they were trying to club them together because there wasn't that much of a gap between Who, Why, Where, What, and on to Iron Power. And you say, right, you open with Confession. Why is it open with Confession and finish with Sword? And because it was going down through who, where, fish. You know what it works out as? Alphabetical. Confession.
I saw that you do that. Confession, Down, Electric, Fire, Fury. And I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute.
This is where Windows. This is where Windows sorts it for you. You know.
That's awesome.
So, and then it actually, because you come to opinion, and then it's mellow enough, like, and then you come to Sword and Jesus, what's that? And it sort of finishes with a bang, you know, and maybe that's what I've been trying to do all the time as well. So, yeah. But
you
that's
just put
the
it into
jigsaw of it. People say, well, it's hard to put a genre on me because a lot of the stuff is jigsawed from 15 years of age up to 90. And it's just, I pick this and it sort of matches, and I'm a sucker for a bass line. So you put them in there, and then it's, you go to institutionalized suicidal tendencies, and you'd have these things, sticks in your head. And I'd always like to, again, not that I'd make a tune like it because you couldn't replicate it, but that's the sound you like at that stage. And then there's a bit of thrash metal in there. There's a bit of this, that, and the other. And then you have Electric the Cure maybe or something like that. And it's nothing premeditated. It's just the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I've talked to so many people about that. Like I very often will make comparisons. Oh, I heard this sounded a little bit like this and that sounded like that, but I've never been trying to take away from people or imply something because I know I've done that myself. I've written songs where somebody would say to me, "Oh, that sounds just like such and such," and I would think,
Yeah.
I thought it sounded like something, but that wasn't what I was thinking at all.
Yeah. But people hear what they hear.
That's it.
You can't define what they hear. It's no more than you live in each other's lives. You don't. People hear what they hear. Because I'd be saying, someone, no, oh God, I heard a bit of NXS there and Simple Minds. And I said, where did you hear that?
Yeah. I know as a songwriter, a song comes to you, you think of things, you start recording them, and it just kind of comes. But do you have like a way that you approach that in terms of like some people say, I always start with the drums, and some people say, I always start with the bass. Like if you were to say like majority of the time, how does that look for you when you want to go record? What do you start with?
No, to start, I suppose. I don't know. I have this in my head, and I'll just play. Yeah, it could be the guitar. It could be rarely the drums because that just comes in afterwards. Really, bass or guitar, really, and have a feeling, or I hear a chant like the Gregorian chants or whatever it is and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just, geez, that's cool. And then either you download the chants. You know, you just. I haven't got a choir upstairs or anything like that. So, but yeah, again, the magic of cut and paste and things like that. So you know, most songs are repetitious. You know, they just keep repeating a lot of the same stuff. So, you know, there's as Lou Reed, when you go past two chords, you're gone complicated altogether. You know, with them. So yeah, the process is the same, but there is no same, if that makes sense. That it's either one or the other, and I have a feeling in my head, and then or I have a lyric that I want to get in, like I am broken. Yeah, I want to get that in. How can I get that in and convey that? Or medicine. I had that black and white and red and green, black and white and red and green. That's cool, you know. And a lot of the stuff is mantra, you know, that I am, I am me, you know, and it's just, that's what it is. But I'm progressing on a little bit, I don't know, for better or worse, I don't know. But yeah, if album 3 is sort of what 1 and 2 was previous, album 3 is a clean start, and I'm not taking in anything really of anything from before, even though the influences will be there, of course, but
right.
It'll be different. Yeah.
Well, I was kind of thinking of that with your recordings. I was asking you before about, you know, the fact that you've been playing music since you were a teenager, you said, you know, and so pMad is a new thing, and the Gathering is a thing, a separate thing, I should say, you know, but we don't stop being us when we're doing a different project. So, you know, recently, a while ago, I was asked to make some music for a specific video, you know, and it wasn't like anything that I normally do, because normally when I write music, it's something that comes into my head. It's a feeling that I have, like you're describing, and then I decide if I'm going to like approach it from sitting down at my laptop and working with samples, or if I'm going to sit down at a piano and play the chords, or my guitar, whatever. This was different in that it wasn't inspired by me having the feeling and then going from there. It was like, here's a video. What do you hear in your head? What would you put to this?
Yeah.
You know? stop being me because you're going to hear sometimes elements of things that I would have done before because that was part of my voice, you know?
Yeah. Oh no, no, I agree. Like I find it hard. Liam would say, "What do you think of this song? You know, it's great. Can you throw?" Because I do all the lyrics, the majority of the lyrics for a lot of the songs or whatever it is, and you can hear him singing it, but you can almost hear me, you know,
Yeah.
but but in a better voice and more talented and all that sort of stuff. But you have he send you over a song, and then I completely. It takes me months sometimes to even it's a brilliant piece of music, but for me to put my lyrics on that, I can't feel it. You know, it's just you have your own thing, and that's it. You're going to bring your own thing to a thing, but it might take longer than. Sure, you looked at that video and said, "What would I do?" You know, well, you have to. I suppose you have to feel with it as well. You have to make contact with it to say that it actually means something to you as well. Are you going to bring out?
I wonder
You're going to bring out a part of yourself, whether you like it or not. You know.
I wonder if that's how actors feel. Like, you know, I think about these actors who play characters that are completely different than who they actually are. Like Heath Ledger played the Joker, right? And they talk about how he was very much a method actor and he was trying to like be in character. Just, you know, we're writing these songs that could be about a story that is not specifically actually a real story, or at least not about my life, but the person singing that is telling their story. So you have to sort of step into that character as well, you know?
Lie on the left, lie on the right. I know how does it feel being with me.
You said you're a sucker for a bass line, and I could have told you that because I hear the bass lines are so prominent
Yeah.
and that you seem to like playing around with that, not just the typical a clean
Right.
bass sound playing eighth notes. It's like you put some distortion on it and maybe play with a pick, and it comes up a couple of times in songs that I heard. Even when you did your remixes, it sounded very different. But as much as you're trying to say, okay, this is me hearing this song, what if I do this? And I try to hear it from this perspective. But
Yeah.
there's still you.
No, but you have to keep it's the Venn diagram job. It's not still within the circle, but it's just another corner which you're not going to lose. You can't lose it because you have my vocals and you have then a dancer, then you have the bass or something there's always got to be, it's a remix, not a new song. Like it's
Yeah.
um,
It's interesting what you just said there, because one of the things that I study and teach at the same time is composition and arranging. And one of my students said to me the other day, we were looking at dynamics of a song as a comparison to a story arc. You know, you have your rise in action and you have your climax and you have your denouement and all that stuff, right? And so what we did was, instead of writing out the sections of the song, dynamically, we made a graphic of the rise in action. And then when we hit the chorus, it's kind of like the climax. And then there's a fall in action.
Yeah.
And so the challenge that I put to my students was that I was going to redraw a different graphic, and they had to make the song match the new graphic of the dynamic. So I said, well, why would I do this or why would I do that? And my students said, because we're making a new song. And I said, no, we're not. That's the key point here. It's not that we're making a new song. We're taking a different perspective on the same song. So we're still playing the same parts. We might end up rearranging the parts a little bit, but we're not changing the melody, for example. You know, and the chorus to version A is going to be the same chorus as version B, just we might take out the drums.
Yes, drop something or again. But that's what every artist is dealing with by moving things here and there. Because someone came on to me, emailed me about Missing, and he said, "Oh, loved it. Up to 2 minutes. After that, lost interest." I said,
Wow.
"Okay, fair enough." You know, I said, "Great." I said, "Well, maybe I just emailed back. Sorry, I didn't dawn on me just to stop at 2 minutes. Sorry."
Yeah.
I just kept going.
He must be a Ramones fan.
Maybe, yeah. Last
What do you,
intro, well,
why have you gone past 2 minutes? Like
yeah, yeah.
that's
So
the
you know,
effective limit.
so eventually went on and started making 6 and 8 minute songs instead.
And part of that is personally, I think a good musician listens to input, but doesn't always act on that input or feedback
Yeah,
because don't always agree. And you know, there have been so many times where people would tell me, "Oh no, geez, don't put distortion on that guitar. You're gonna kill it." I record the song, I put out the song, especially when I play it live. That's where you can see, like, people
yeah.
give their feedback in an isolated room where they're listening with headphones on and stuff like that. But play your song to a live audience. That's when you can see when the room is moving, when they're connecting, or
Yeah.
when they're starting to ask for another beer.
But it's a new beast again in live studio live. It's a new song nearly again. It's the same song, but a new version. It's a remix version of it because what you can do in the studio to what you can do live is, yeah.
When you can see that number of people just naturally react that way, I don't know.
Well, it's
It's
no more than a comedian telling a joke and he thinks it's hilarious, and then everyone's just what?
yeah. And I'm the comedian standing up there laughing at my own joke.
Yeah, well, there. It was, well, I thought it was funny anyway.
Yeah.
Things can be too perfect and try to be too perfect and try to be too overproduced. You can take the rawness a little bit out of it or the edge and things like that. And sometimes it goes, if when I die posthumously, they might bring out the unfiltered, we'll say, before it goes to final mix and mastering and things like that, the
Yeah.
just before it. And sometimes I nearly sometimes prefer that, but it's not good enough quality for radio. pMad, it gets plays because there's no bad language and it's produced. It's well produced. It's no matter what way, no matter what you think of it or what you say of it, the peaks and the levels and all the other bits and pieces are all well done, and you give yourself a chance that way. But the amount of lads that'll do, and it's most of my songs, I keep them. There is a radio and edit back to under 4 minutes, and you give yourself a chance because there's a radio show. I have an hour or an hour and a half to play it. I want to get in 21 songs in that hour and a half, and I want to talk rubbish then for the other few minutes or whatever it is. They're not going to play a 6 minute song because you're taking up another person's opportunity. If people like it, they'll like it and they'll go and find out more about pMad or whoever it is.
Mm.
So you need to give yourself that opportunity. And then sometimes you can overproduce the brink of being Taylor Swift or Ed Sheeran's and things like that. And then you're falling into their categories and you can't win there.
Yeah. Well, that's that.
You still got to be different.
You have to be different, and so to what extent or how aware were you when you were doing the remixed version of your whole album? So you have I Am Power and you've thought through all of those sorts of things to some extent,
If I
how
was
you
thinking, I wouldn't do it.
what so I think that's amazing because there's a part of me that understands what you just said. Like if I was thinking I wouldn't do it, but then there's a part of me that thinks, yeah, but you came out with these completely new songs. Like,
Yeah, and then what I wanted was because I don't know what dance song it is. I love Darude and Sandstorm and a bit of Prodigy and a bit of this, that, and the other. And it's not that I'm going to be them, but it was just, let's see, could it be, you know, and that's all it is. The cyberpunk, some of that I really like, and there's a bit of that in Down and Fire and Fury. Then the other ones are a bit more dancey.
Would you like it all to burn and disappear? I was halfway to hell. I was halfway to hell.
Some of them don't relate at all, let's say. I don't. Look, people will hear what they hear, and that's it.
that's it. There's no map for it. So I mean, I do have, and I suppose you have moments as well where I'm like, well, the easiest thing to do here is like a drum build or something, or the easiest thing to do here is the music stops and you hear a choir go, ah.
Yeah. Well,
and then it comes back.
the logical progression is, and is that the
Well,
way to go? But
right. Well, and
yeah,
sometimes I can hear that's what everybody will be, or most people will be expecting, so I don't do that.
yeah, well, that's yeah, is.
Well, that's the
But
thing. Like
yeah, but
if it was
maybe
all
Look at Me Now could have been the original pMad album, and then I Am Power would have been the remix into so
that's awesome.
um,
That's a cool
yeah,
idea,
if
actually.
you dragged it up or down, I'm not sure, but anyway, yeah. So
So all of that, you did say that you had help in the studio. So you have Liam
well,
Martin.
Liam, yeah, I got out to Liam there. He's a lovely studio in Shannon down. He lives down in Clare, and I would be good friends. We always knocking around with The Greeting, and he has a great band going. So we're The Greeting, but the BigGenerator is their band, and they're playing 3-4 nights a week. They have a Rock Rising show, which is the classic hits, a stage show as well. They're huge, 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 very big in Ireland, and they're going over to Germany touring now as well with it. And then Dominic in Germany as well. Then he's my producer. Dominic Hanold, he's at Protonaut Studios.
Yeah.
Genius.
Liam
Yeah,
is at
really nice guy.
Zedek How do you say that?
Oh, Zedicube.
Zedek Records.
Yeah, that's yes. So when they ask you, you're filling out all these forms on the internet and you're trying to get your songs onto all these different radio stations and things like record label. Yeah, well, let's ZQ Records.
There you
Yes.
go.
So now ZQ, we were signed to ZQ Records, which is Liam and me anyway, and
Oh, there
we
you
have The
go.
Greeting and pMad, and it sounds like we're a little
Well,
bit more important. Me, myself, and I.
oh, there you
Three of
go.
us are very happy here. Me, myself, and I.
For me, what really caught my attention was the remix thing. The idea of taking these songs that, you know, it's one of those things like when you write a song, it could be a very personal moment that whatever inspired you to want to say those things, and then as you record it, as it becomes produced, as Dominic comes back to you and says, well, we kind of need to do this here. It starts to be a shared experience, the song itself, right? And then you took all of that and you said, okay, except for the lyrics and the vocals, I'm actually going to throw all that out and kind of just rejig the whole thing. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
But that
I
was you were saying why do it? So there's the advantage of it already, is not really you liked it or not, but it piques your attention. So it will do that. And then if it drags people over and then it's free and it's on Bandcamp and you can download it for nothing, then maybe then someone else might listen to the other stuff as well and say, that's rubbish actually. Anyway, let's go back to the remix.
You need to check out Stagedive. I had a recent chat with John Bruce of Stagedive streaming platform.
Right.
They are amazing because they do basically what Bandcamp does. But Bandcamp, if I like your song, I might, buy you a coffee. I might send you $1, whatever it is for the song, right? One off a la carte, he called it.
Yes.
Whereas with Stagedive, you pay, if you would like to, you pay $4 a month for a subscription, but you have 100% access to all of the music that's on there. For the listeners, that's instead of getting 4 songs off of Bandcamp, you have all the songs in their catalog. But for you and I, what's interesting is that Stagedive's format is they take 50% of all the streaming money that comes in, and they divide the other 50% across all of the artists based on the number of listens, which means people actually get paid. Like, not Spotify is a great way to get your music out there and people can hear it. That, and you'll actually get a royalty check.
Yes. Well, there's a min in Ireland here as well, MINM, and it's mostly nearly all Irish as well. And it's a fiver to join for the month, but I would get more off that than you every month than you would for 10 streams or whatever it is than you would anything from. I think he keeps €1 out of the 5 or something like that, and then it's you get way, when it's divided down in bits and pieces, but you get way more than a couple of thousand streams on Spotify. It was actually we're just at a concert in Galway at I was just as you do. And the next thing at the end of the concert, this guy comes over and you're pMad, aren't you? And I said, shit, that was the first time ever anyone ever does me.
That's
all right,
cool.
yeah. I said, Yeah, and who are you? And he's, no, I'm Mim. Yeah. So anyway, we got a good chat, and yeah.
That's cool. Well, I'm going to be flashing that up here too, because that's one of the things I love about doing this podcast is stuff like this. Like we were
Well, I've
talking.
Stagedive written down here now, so I'll be getting onto it later on. Now,
That's it. And
yeah,
you and I were talking about Ray Community Radio 102.9, and your two radio shows on there. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't have a huge viewership. It's not like millions of people are watching every video, but there are going to be people who hear about that and they say, well, geez, the best of Irish indie and the best of world indie, that sounds like something that I would like to listen to. And they'll
yeah,
go out and
and it's
listen to it.
gathering. It's like everything. You're an overnight success after 10 years, you know. So we're on show 40 now at the minute, but then it's on Mad Wasp Radio in England on Tuesday. It's on Radio Sylvia in Germany on a Friday. It's on in JR Radio in Croatia on a Thursday, and it's a way of getting out Irish music. So every day around the world, there's 10 radio stations have the best of Irish indie on it. And look at if 100 people listen to it here and 10 people listen to it there, and then Mad Wasp Radio come back to me and say, you're actually getting a bit of a following there, you know. I think they were, how the hell is that happening? But anyway,
I mean, I wonder that as well. I mean, this is my third season of Our Mind on
well,
Music,
yeah,
and over time, very gradually, people have been hearing about it, and they like to watch the videos. They like, sometimes my edits are a little silly. I'll put little funny things in there, whatever. But that's not why people are watching it. I'm sure they're watching it because they're going to hear about music.
yes,
Like,
yes.
they're
Well,
going to
people
hear.
you get into Burning Metal Ireland podcast, and there's certain ones, and then there's Neo Born and his show and things like that. And there's certain ones I might listen to them all this week maybe, but I'll have 3 hours on a day, and I'll stick them on the computer, and I'll have them in the background listening, and that's the brilliant about Mixcloud and YouTube and all the other things. Live radio is always tricky because it's nearly gone, you know. But the listen back is great, and because of the time difference, like if you were playing my show in China at 8 in the evening, you know,
So,
or
yeah.
3 in the afternoon, 6 in the evening, I'm not going to be able to listen to it at 6 in the morning or whatever it is. So,
Let me ask you this question. So, if you could only choose one of the songs that you've released yourself as pMad for people to listen to, or at least the first song you'd want people to listen to, what song would that be?
see, who knows? I like the. I don't know. I always felt it depends what mood I'm in that day, or whether it was the Sword has probably been Who Am I and Sword Broken have been the most successful ones.
Okay.
Medicine I think is so personally relatable to me, and actually Electric would be very relatable personally as well to me. I don't know, Electric, every time it goes through it, listen, it nearly brings a tear to me. I don't know why it shouldn't, it doesn't. It's a sad song, but I don't know what it is.
What do you see? What do you see? Leaving me. Wishing to rise while others fall. Can we not just rise together?
Medicine. When I first put on the video, the official video for Medicine, I thought, is my speaker broken? Because with the EQ, how you played with the EQ and it builds up, the way you did the EQ, I thought, wait, and then I thought, oh, I thought it was brilliant because it's like it really got me like hyper focused on what I was doing.
Standing at the bank, watching the world go by. Standing at the bank, watching the world go by. Standing at the bank, watching the world go by. What takes your breath away? What takes your breath away?
I always think a song should have a good, not much of a good video you have, but a video, and keep people interested. 'Cause
It just puts a whole new dimension to the song.
yeah,
We have less than a minute left, so I'm going to say thank you again. I look forward to chatting again at some point as well.
perfect. Of course, exactly. Thanks, Jeremy. Look, keep in touch.
Thanks very much, Paul. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.